To Habs Unfiltered. I'm your host, Blain, and I'm joined now by my co-host, Treg Wilson.
Hello, salut, bonjour.
And unfortunately, Matt could not join us as he is working so hard to defend our freedoms over in Scotland.
At every tavern he's in, nightly.
He is deployed. He's deployed for the Air Force, and they're providing um, air support to Op Reassurance, I believe, in Latvia. So it is important work, as Matt tells us all the time.
Paperwork's always important.
That's right. All right, so there's all kinds of things we can get into that are Habs related. We've, unfortunately, Treg and I have not been able to tee up a show together for a little while because Treg, you had a little bit of work done.
Yeah, I had gum graft done, so I didn't want to look fat on camera.
That's my job.
No, and I couldn't talk very well, and I had a sore mouth, and I just didn't want to do anything. So
Fair, just fair.
ugh.
You don't want to be goofing around on things that would hurt the recovery.
I guess. I mean, the recovery isn't long; it's only like 10 days, but
Still, but still. So I did a couple of shows alone, and now you're back, and we're going to improve the show because there's two of us.
yay!
It'll be twice as good as the last one.
Or twice as worse.
Point of view, all depends on that. So, what we're going to get into now, we're going to talk a little bit about, you know, the recent news in the Canadiens, the recent games, Drouin's return, stuff like that. So, why don't we just start off with Jonathan Drouin's return to Montreal for the first time with the Colorado Avalanche?
Well, first of all, if you're mad because the fans booed him, the fans boo every returning ex-Montreal Canadian. I think maybe if it was Guy Lafleur, I think Guy Lafleur is the only guy I never heard them boo. Uh,
It's true.
but that's just something they do, and it's not really a thing because they don't like them. It's a thing because that's just what they do. I look at it as a sign of respect because as soon as they did the tribute video for Drouin, he got a rousing ovation. And right then and there, that tells them the true feelings. And I don't know how this whole tradition started, but any ex player that comes back to Montreal gets booed.
At
It's
least for
just
one
the way
game.
it is. At least for one game. I mean, if they get booed multiple games, it's because they really didn't like them. So,
Or they left for free agency, or they left, like
or
they abandoned the fans, or that's how they
yeah,
felt.
yeah. So I mean, so people getting mad about that. If you're getting mad about that still, then that's on you. That's not really on the fans. Just accept it for what it is and carry on. So
The video montage that they put up for him, they went they went nuts. They loved him. They
mm-hmm.
absolutely loved him.
Duran, like him or
So
hate him, like him or don't like him. And a lot of people didn't like him because of his contract and he wasn't producing to what they expected him to do and blah, 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 and injuries and then the anxiety and all that kind of stuff. But he was great for the community. If you
he
guys think
was.
PK Subban did a lot for the community, Jonathan Drouin, I mean, he didn't pledge to have $10 million donated to a hospital, but he did everything he could for the hospital. He did everything he could for the community. He showed up to every community event that the Canadiens put on. He did everything. So, and I mean, and really, he was a 48-point performer on average per season with the Canadiens. Uh,
Notes.
so really, what? Sure, he wasn't. If you're gonna blame anything about Duran, you got to blame Mark Bergevin because he's the one that brought him in, saying he was going to be the French superstar that was going to help the Canadiens get to the promised land. Right?
He didn't do him any favors during the press conference either, calling him the next top center, the next great player. Like he
and,
did
and
no favors.
he didn't. And he was hyped up and hyped up that he was going to be this great player. And guess what? He ended up being exactly what he was when he came to Montreal, an average second line winger, really. That's averaged around 45 to 52 points when a season when healthy. And
Yeah,
I don't know, like I know people were going on, oh, he's not scoring goals, but he was getting assists, he was getting points, he was doing the things that he could do. No, he wasn't great defensively, but there was no problems in the dressing room. There was no. I like Drouin. You like Drouin. There's no secret that here at Habs Unfiltered we like Drouin. I did. I thought he got a bad rap. I thought he was brought in too hyped, and if he was brought in similar to how they brought in Newhook, saying, "Hey, we want this guy to get more minutes. We want to see what this guy can do with more minutes and in the top six setting." Yada yada yada. It might have been different. It might have been different, but it
might have
wasn't.
been.
And now he's in Colorado. He's playing with his buddy McKinnon. He's doing well. Yeah, and I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's doing well.
Well, I mean, when everything was going wrong for him in Montreal, uh, they it was just horrible. Like nothing went right for him, and he had to take that. He stepped back. He took time off for his mental health. Missed the entire playoff run in 2021 when they went to the Cup final, um, which is unfortunate. Maybe he would have been a difference in maybe winning another game or two in the final,
He had
and they
good
could have
play.
been closer to a cup. But
He had good playoff numbers. I know that
yeah,
for what he did with Tampa Bay. He had really good playoff numbers, which is a reason why Bergevin went out and got him in the first place.
yes, and he was always a playoff performer in Halifax during his time
Yeah,
in the Q and the Memorial Cup, and now he's moved on to rejoin, like you said, his friend Nate McKinnon, who he played with here in Halifax, and Drouin's doing great. He's on pace for nearly 50 points. He's able to fill a gap in their lineup right now because they're suffering some injuries as well.
mm-hmm.
And he's up there. He's in the top six. He's on the top line at most of the time. Power play, like he got an assist on the power play goal, Ross Colton's power play goal against Montreal. Um, so he seems to be healthier. He seems to be happier. He's producing. He is playing well, and I think he's going to do well for Colorado. He might end up staying there for a few years at
And he's
this rate.
relatively healthy.
Exactly. And I don't think he deserves anybody being tough on him anymore. Like the booing when he had the puck, like you mentioned, that's more just fans, you know, letting him know how they feel because he's not on their team. And they only
Anymore.
boo the best players anyway.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, it's true.
If you're upset that Jonathan Drouin got booed in Montreal, you must have hated the game before when it was McDavid anytime he sneezed or dove.
I see now that I didn't understand. I don't know why you're booing McDavid. McDavid. It's not like McDavid said, "I hate French people." Or,
Well,
I
just
mean,
best player
maybe
in the
I don't
team.
know. Yeah. So, although
So
I do
anyway,
want
it
to
was nice to
add,
see. Yeah,
I do want to say something. This has nothing to do with Montreal, but Steve Dangle said on the podcast that Matthew is not even in the same tier as McKinnon, and he goes, "You notice it when they're both on the ice together," and I just had to bring that up. So the biggest
he's
one
not
of the
wrong.
he's not, but one now, if you look at Leafs Twitter, they all hate Steve Dangle.
God forbid he's not a ball licking homer.
Well, you kind of, I'm just saying. Anyway, nothing to do with what we're talking about, but for some reason, it just popped into my head and I had to get it out because I think it's humorous. How dare
Fair.
he? How dare he not say the greatest player that ever stepped on the ice? Austin Matthews is not the same tier as Nathan McKinnon. This guy is better than McDavid
Totally. Greatest player to have ever lived.
from Arizona.
Sure. He's just walking away with the Maurice Richard trophy. No one's close to him except for that, Sam Reinhardt's like right there
One
with him,
goal
and
behind.
five other
One goal.
people are right there with him. Yeah. Like he was oh, maybe he'll score 90 this year. Oh, no. The goal scorers drop off, they heat up, they cool down. It's what happens. It's Do those goal scorers play defense? Nate McKinnon does.
I mean, I will say this: Matthews isn't terrible on defense, so
No, he's not.
I can't really go. He's not. He's not. He's not a bad defender, but he's not as good
I
as
mean,
McKinnon.
no, he's terrible.
But to bring this back, Maurice Rocket Richard Trophy's coming home. Cole Caulfield's on a heater. 2 games in a row, he scored a goal, and what a beauty he scored on Gregorov. Just beautiful.
Oh yeah, that
Just beautiful.
spin and then just far post top shelf. Ugh,
Yeah.
chef's kiss.
So I figure he'll have 79 goals by the end of the season because he's on that big heater and win the Rocket Richard. You heard it here first, folks.
There you go.
Actually,
He is. He
I'll
is.
say 60. I'll keep it modest. 69 goals.
It'd be a nice total.
Mm, mm. Everyone will be satisfied.
Exactly. It's good for him, good for us,
That's
all at
right.
the same time. Um, so he's now back on pace for over almost 30 goals. So that's good, uh, especially considering all the pressure that was put on him to perform this season. And he's only shooting at around 7 to 8% when his regular career percentage is around 15. So yeah, he's had a harder time finishing. Maybe it's the shoulder. Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know. But he's starting to
8.3%.
play
That's
back.
his shooting percentage.
Okay.
Yeah. I just looked it up. So you weren't far.
Sure. So in the last 2 games, like you mentioned, he scored a goal against Colorado and Edmonton, and he's looked excellent against
Mm-hmm.
two very, very good teams. And so did the rest of the Canadians. Like the last 2 games, after that game against San Jose, the sky was falling. Everybody had to be fired. And then Edmonton and Colorado come out, and the Canadians play as if they're, back in their old win the Atlantic Division days.
Well, see, this is kind of what bothers me with Montreal's play as of late is that they tend to play to the team, and they've done this for years. Even before Marty St. Louis, they tend to play to the team that they're playing against. And I don't know why. And it's been over years. I'm talking, I mean, this is why they haven't beat San Jose. I think they beat them once, and that was this year in San Jose in the past 15 years or something stupid.
Yeah.
It's because they always play up or down to the team they're against. And I never understood that. They're doing it again this year. I find the tougher teams, I think it's only once or twice they played a really good team and got blown out. But then you lose like 6-1 to Buffalo, 3-2 to San Jose, a team you should at least have won at least won 3-2. They're just and I don't know what that is. I don't know why. I think I know Marty probably had a talk with him that, hey, we just lost to a team that barely scores 2 goals a game. And we didn't just lose. We didn't even look good in the game.
No, and it's a team that got blown out of every game they played in the 12 games prior.
Yeah. And we just looked like we didn't even show up to the game. It was like your son's game. Your son's team was playing the San Jose Sharks. Probably would have got the same
My
result.
son's team probably would have scored 3 goals. Well, and it kind of highlights the whole issue with the team right now, and that's consistency. From game to game, you don't know what team's showing up. It's Jekyll and Hyde. One game, they're world beaters. The next game, they can't beat a Pee-wee team. Like it's you don't know who's going to show up or like which team is there. So the top line is consistent. They're constantly playing to their level. Sometimes they get points, sometimes they don't get as many, but you can count on what they're providing. Gallagher, he's going to give you 100%, even if that 100% is not enough. Jake Allen, he'll try his best, but sometimes that's not enough. And the rest of the team is going to have to start following with that level of that consistent effort level. Once they do that as a group, this team is going to be a playoff team.
And that just goes to say of how young the team is. So it's now, I think, the fourth youngest team in the league. It was the third, but now it's the fourth youngest team in the league. You got a lot of first and second year players on the team. Harvey Pinard, Dooley, Struble, the entire D core except for Matheson and Savard. Primo's playing in his, I'm going to say, his basically first full season, really, even though it's not. But so that goes with young players. Sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off. Like the consistency will come. What bothers me is the consistency from the veterans that you're not seeing. Like, for instance, Armia against Colorado was excellent. Actually, Armia's been playing good hockey for the past few games. So I'm not going to shit on Armia, but Armia is one of those guys. Sometimes he's sometimes he's Wayne Gretzky. Sometimes he's Wayne Gretzky's brother, Keith. So, like, you know what I mean? Like it's like I watch him and I think, man, I can see why he was drafted in the first round. And then I watch him another game. I'm thinking, how did this guy ever get drafted in the first round? And same can be said about Matheson. Like, I know Matheson's getting the points and stuff like that, but Matheson is basically Petrie 2.0. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get. And either end of the ice. He's even starting to shoot pucks into shin pads like Jeff Petrie did. Like when at the first of the season and last season, he was timing his shot right and getting shot to the net. Now he's just, I got the puck. Slafkovsky's open, but I don't pass to him.
He's allergic.
Caulfield's covered by two guys. I'll try that one. Oh, wait. Caulfield's covered, Slafkovsky's open. I'm just going to blast it. And I don't know.
I swear to God, he's allergic to passing to Slafkovsky.
Although he did do it once in the Colorado game, so he did pass it to him once.
The sad part is we notice it's so few that you notice that one time. Like what's up with that? Like I don't understand that.
I will say this: Slafkovsky has to get the timing of a shot down, which he doesn't have yet. But still, the guy's wide open. Pass it to him. If anything, you're going to keep control of the puck in the zone.
Well, I remember a pass that Matheson gave him on a power play against Philadelphia. Slafkovsky got a great shot off, and it took an amazing save to keep it from going in. But he fired that shot the second it touched his blade. So that's exactly what we're looking for from Slafkovsky. And it's amazing how great of a scoring chance that was by a simple pass from Matheson. Try it more.
But I did like the power play against Colorado. They moved around more. They used more weapons than just Caulfield and Matheson. So they made it look like Suzuki, Caulfield, Matheson, or Slafkovsky was a scoring threat. And that made the defense of Colorado move around more on the power play, which opened up some holes, for instance, Cole Caulfield to score a goal and Slafkovsky to score a goal. So that's how you work your power play. Good job, Martin St. Louis, who is the man who runs the power play on that. Oh, now, I also noticed Colorado doing the back pass on their power play. And why that's a trend in the league, I have no idea. I'm just throwing out there just so everyone knows this is not just a Montreal thing.
That's true. There's, I think, 90% of the league does it.
Yeah.
Now, with power plays, what would you say is a very good power play? 20%? 21%?
If you can get a 20%, okay, we've talked about this before. If you can get a 20% and 80% on your two, if you can get 100% from your two specialty teams, then you have a pretty good specialty team.
We're not going to get that with the penalty kill this year. So
we're
if
not
you're
going to
just
get that.
Isolating the power play,
I would say anywhere between 20 and 23% is a good power play.
What if I told you the Canadiens over the last 15 to 20 games have a 25% power play?
Then I would say they're above good, whatever that is.
So would you think that is that the power play is fixed, or whatever they did to adjust is working now?
I would say whatever they do adjust is working, but then again, near the first of the season, Montreal's power play was in the top 15 and the top 10 at one point as well. So
Yeah,
it's working. The problem is, can they adjust when the other team figures out what they're doing, what's working, how they can counter what they're doing that's working? And I think that's what happened at the first of the season. At the first of the season, I don't think anyone knew what they were doing. So everyone was like, I don't know who to cover here. And then when people started figuring out, oh, okay, it's just Matheson to Caulfield, Suzuki to Caulfield, everyone to Caulfield, the power play went to shit. And then now they're moving to Slafkovsky's getting more involved. Suzuki's more involved. Caulfield's more. And we talked about it before. If you want Caulfield to score, you need someone else to make the team think that other person's going to score too. That way,
exactly.
the person's going to move off. That's why Ovechkin was always allowed to stand at that dot. They knew Ovechkin was a weapon, but so was Backstrom, so was Tom Wilson, so was Carlson. So they really had to, and really Ovechkin just stood there and went, "Oh well, if I don't get the puck, I don't get it. If I do, it's going to be a goal."
Yeah, he would
Whether
just
Caulfield,
stand still while
yeah,
everybody's chasing the puck or trying to cut off the pass.
yeah,
And,
and
and it would work one time in four, but it would work
that
one time in
it would
four.
at one time in four. And why someone just didn't stand someone still right on Ovechkin, I have no idea. But anyway, the point I'm making is I think what they're doing is working. And now
Yeah.
let's see if they can adjust when other teams figure out what they're doing is working and adjust to it.
Yes. Yeah, that would be that's the next step. And I would say that again with power play, special teams really, consistency again is the issue. They're the the approach that the players take when they're playing more aggressively, especially in the penalty kill, they play excellent hockey. Then they get a little bit passive and then they give up a ton of goals. So it's that again, that effort level like that I was talking about with follow Gallagher's lead. They're getting there, but once they're not there yet.
I like to see Slafkovsky on the penalty kill. I think Slafkovsky is playing great defensive hockey. RHP, I think is a good defensive player. I think he's good on the penalty kill. He can hit the balls and still get the puck out of the zone right into the crowd, um, like he did in Colorado.
Unreal.
But let's look at it this way: they killed off that 2-man power play, but the penalty kill didn't really look that good. To be honest with you, it
No,
didn't. It did a lot of chasing. I think it was more Colorado's power play just didn't play that well against Montreal.
maybe you could
I,
argue
I
that
don't
they were
know.
just taking away their passing lanes.
They were,
You
but
could,
there was a lot of
but that was the
chasing on
turning
those
point.
penalty kills.
Oh
And it
yeah,
was.
but that was the
And it
turning
was.
point.
Like people
And
will look at the score sheet and say, "Oh wow, they killed all these penalties, right?" And you're like,
yeah,
"Well, yeah, they did, but they didn't look really that great doing it. They got lucky
no,
bounces.
they were
They
yeah, they chased
right,
it.
so they chased it. Yeah, yeah, but it worked.
It was uphill both ways for them. Which brings me to Slafkovsky. You mentioned Slafkovsky on the penalty kill, but from what I've been told in mainstream media, he deserves to be demoted and maybe even sent to Laval.
Oh yes, yes, because he gets takes too many hits. And wait a minute, were they watching highlights from 2022
I
or
think so.
this season? Because I'm going to call them out, Jamal Mayers and Gaddick or whatever you say his name. Terrible, terrible, terrible fucking research on that Canadiens game because everything they said about Slafkovsky were the issues that he had last season. Every single one of them. And to sit there and say probably the hottest guy on the Canadiens right now in terms of play and scoring, he has 8 points in his last 12 games.
Yep.
And a big reason why that top line has been so consistent and a big reason why Suzuki's getting more points and Caulfield's scoring more because this guy's winning the board battles and this guy's opening ice, which is what a big power forward is supposed to do.
No.
Yeah, that was just terrible. Listen, Sportsnet's going so far down the drain, it's not even funny. Like Nobody even wants to watch it anymore. So
But their coverage of the Maple Leafs is second to none.
sure, they even
They
went over.
forget that
They
there's
even
six other fucking teams in the country.
in the second intermission, they even had a Maple Leafs little segment where they talked about the Maple Leafs. They weren't even playing.
Yep.
Anyway, whatever. I mean, hey, Rogers owns part of the Leafs, so
No surprise there.
yeah. So Sportsnet, yeah. But again, like, just do your research, guys. Like, just you know,
Maybe, I don't know, maybe read some stuff from the hockey writers.
listen to our podcast.
Exactly. Hire us. We can be Sportsnet's Montreal Canadiens coverage.
There you go. I can do that.
I work cheap.
And I'll sit there and say Slafkovsky is the greatest hockey player that ever touched the ice. That's what they
Yeah.
do with the Leafs. Can you
Yeah.
believe how
Well, yeah,
good Matthew? Can you believe how good Matthews Knies is? He has the same amount of points as Slafkovsky. He's playing with Marner and Matthews. He should have a hell of a lot more points than Slafkovsky. I'm just saying.
I'm still waiting for Robertson to become better than Caulfield.
He's a healthy scratch tonight. Go figure.
And just saying, ask the king. The king doesn't pay us very much. We work cheap.
Yeah.
Especially Trege.
Whatever Jamal and Luke are making, I'll take half.
Yep. I'm in. So so that pretty much does it for this episode. We're gonna have some more episodes here for the week. We're gonna try and now that we're all back up to snuff and available, we'll try and put out some more shows here. Do you have any final thoughts?
I do have a final thought. Prohibition on this day in 1919, prohibition begins in the United States, prohibiting the production, sale, and transportation of alcohol in the country. It's over now. They don't do prohibition anymore. But in 1919, on this day in history, it started. Also, I did a trivia question, or not really a trivia. It's a name that Canadian had on the on Twitter, and I'm going to give out the answer if you don't mind, Blaine, because a
Have
lot of
at
people
her.
got it. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, but anyway. So the question was: this player was drafted 82nd overall in 1981. He scored 71 points as a rookie in 1986, and he only played 3 seasons with the Habs. Actually, only played 3 seasons in the NHL. Period, because injuries derailed his career. Blaine, do you know who he is?
No.
It's Jal Dolan. So Jal Dolan scored 71 points and 32 goals. I think it was 32. I could be wrong. Matching the rookie record set by Matt Snaslin. So, folks, that is the answer to the question. Lots of people got it correct. Good on them. I'm sure they looked it up, but it doesn't really
What'd they
matter.
win?
So good. Just the fact that they got the answer right. I can't afford prizes.
The king doesn't pay enough.
I can't afford prizes there. So, yeah, the king doesn't pay enough.
And t-shirts from Baby Gap costs a lot of money.
This is actually from Under Armour, and it used to not be so tight. So there you go. But when you're the hardest worker in the room, they get tight. I'm the only person in the room, by the way, so I can say that.
It's usually the way it works. All right. So for me, I would just like to again thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Continue sending us emails, sending us messages on social media, interacting with us. Check out Habs Unfiltered on social media, habsunfiltered@outlook.com if you want to send an email. YouTube, we're on all of it. TikTok, believe it or not, we're actually there. We actually have an OnlyFans page for Habs Unfiltered featuring Matt.
We actually do. That's funny.
So if you want to see a picture of Matt fully clothed, just check out Habs Unfiltered on OnlyFans. And that's pretty much it. So I want to thank you all for listening. And remember, if you're talking about it, so are we.